All right, so welcome, guys. Thank you for taking time out of your day to come join us in this job hunting webinar. We hope that you are able to gain some valuable experience through our time together. A lot of the information that you'll see, let me think, let's see, just a second. There we go. It froze for a little bit, wasn't working. Gotta love technology. So a lot of the information that we will share with you today comes from the Job Hunting Handbook. Usually, if we do this workshop face-to-face on campus, we would have this resource for you. Unfortunately, because we aren't able to be on campus and do this face-to-face, we have to do it virtually, but we are recording this session. So if there's something that you're missing or you forgot something, you can always refer back to the recording. Also, we are still seeing students, even though we're not currently at Brennan 3. You can still schedule those virtual appointments with us, whether it is you need additional assistance in a job search or finding an internship or a co-op for the fall semester, or maybe some that may still be doing that for the summer, or any other thing related to career development. We are still helping students, and we'll be happy to help you guys out if you need that. So where do jobs come from? Believe it or not, there's still jobs out there, and there's still employers that are going to need your lovely talents, and we would love to hire you. There's still going to be people that are going to retire. There's still going to be people that get promotions, people that leave companies to go elsewhere, whether it's to another company or another state, or if they're lucky enough, another country. So there are jobs out there. It just might mean digging a little bit more this time around, and it might mean networking and expanding your thought process about, I thought I wanted to do X job. Well, maybe I need to bend a little bit and use some of the skill sets that I have and some of the interests that I have and explore these other options. One of the things I do with students when they come with me for a job search is I help them create career goals. And the reason for that is you have to have a solid foundation. You got to know what you're working for, right? So you got to know where you want to be in the next 5 to 10 years. You got to know what skill sets you already have, what strengths you have, um, what achievements have you done so far that would help that potential employer. Start looking at jobs that may catch your attention, that may be of interest to you, employers that you know you want to work for, and seeing what they're posting. Match it to that list that you're doing of the skill sets that you're bringing, and seeing what do you already have that you can continue to expand, and then what skills is you're noticing that are coming up a lot in some of these job postings that you might want to consider working on. Now, if you are getting ready to graduate in May and you're doing this activity and you're noticing that there are some gaps, that's okay. When I finished grad school, I had a lot of gaps. There's no way that you can gain everything that you absolutely need within those 4 years or 2 years that you have to do when you're doing your bachelor's or when you're doing your graduate coursework. So give yourself some grace. There's no lost cause. You can still gain these experiences and you can still close those gaps by either doing webinars, attending trainings, seeking certifications. All these things are great things that you can still expand and explore on, but you won't know if you have those gaps unless you do the front work ahead of time and start seeing those things and creating an action plan. Other things you want to consider when you're doing this career goals and setting your career goals is understanding your career values, your interests, your personality types, and then also the personality types that you kind of clash with, right? There's going to be some employment settings that are going to have a lot of people with different personalities, and some of these personalities may be people that you just for whatever reason don't get along with, and that's fine. You're not going to get along with everybody, but if it's things that are just non-negotiable to you within your work values, within that personality type, you got to know these things so that you're not seeking employment in areas in which it's going to lead to burnout, it's going to lead to job dissatisfaction, and then you're going to be job hopping, right? Because you're not at the right setting. So you got to keep those things in mind. If you aren't really sure of where to start with this, We help students with this all the time, whether it's through career advising or career counseling. So if that's something that you're kind of struggling with, and you know your interests and you know kind of your skill sets, but you're not sure about your work values or how your personality might tie in to some of these work settings, come see us and we'll be happy to help you with that. We don't have the answers. We don't have a magic bullet that can tell you, you know, you took this assessment and boom, you can do this career, but at least it gives you a head start and a clear picture of where to start and where to go from there, okay? So once you have your career goals and you're starting to look at different jobs, you have a job that you're interested in, you got to show the employer that you have the right stuff, right? You got to show them and communicate to them that you have the ability to do the job that they're asking to do. So how do you do that? So let's take a look at this student. Now, this student is not real. We created it just for the purpose of this workshop to kind of help create a visual image of what we're talking about when we talk about showing the employer the right stuff. So this student is a junior. She's been involved in many things, including student organization, where she has many responsibilities, including the media, so the social media and other mediums. She has different skill sets, including Photoshop, InDesign, and is bilingual, and has assisted in planning the development of different events, including fundraising, right? So that gives you just a sneak peek of who she is and some of the skills that she brings to the table. So when she's looking for employment, she found one that she liked and she wanted to be a photographer. So that's the job title, right? You first usually are attracted to a job title. There's something about that job title that kind of grabs your attention and makes you want to see what else is about this job. So that's where the job requirement comes in. And you got to look at the job requirement because this is what the employer is expecting that candidate to be able to do. Now, some jobs will have it listed like this, like you see on screen, and it's just requirements. It doesn't say minimum or preferred. Some jobs might not have it and just might have a list, whether it's numbered or with bullets, of things that they expect that candidate to be able to do. I will say, if you have a job description and you notice that they have divided it into two, so there's the minimum requirements and then the preferred requirements, look at that minimum requirement. If you can do everything that is on that minimum requirement, apply for the job. If you don't have a lot of the preferred, but still meet the minimum, apply for the job. The preferred just means we sure would love to have this candidate, but that's not a deal breaker for a lot of employers. The minimum is this is stuff that you have to be able to do. Now, I always tell students if it's a minimum requirement and it has 5 listed requirements that you need to be able to do, and you only meet, let's say, maybe 3 or 4 of them, and there's maybe 2 or 3, 2 or 1 that you don't meet, take the chance and still apply. So you want to focus, when you're doing that, you still want to focus on those skill sets that you do have that directly relate to that job that you're applying for. Let them be the one that tell you no. If you don't meet their requirements, or if they don't want to bother calling you for an interview because you don't meet all of them, then they just won't call you. But there may be some employers that may look at it and say, hey, at least they need this. We still need people to cover this particular job. Let's give it a shot. Let's give it a try. Let's call this candidate in and see if their personality and along with their skill sets that they do have, if they would match with the employers that we do have already hired. And if we just need to train them on the areas that they don't have and they're able to do that, then they can do that. But never cut yourself short from an opportunity and tell yourself no. Apply for the job if you meet most of the requirements, especially if it's just 1 or 2 that you're off. But looking at that minimum requirement first and forgetting about the preferred, because the preferred is just means they would love to have it, but it's not a deal breaker, okay? So going back to the one that you see on the screen, you see different requirements here. There's 5 different requirements that this position needs to have. So if we take one, for example, the capture the spirit of the subject. So when you're looking at how do I show the employer that I have the right stuff to be able to capture the spirit of the subject as they're stating on this requirement, how do I demonstrate that in my resume, in my CV, or in my cover letter? So one of the things that we see students do is sometimes they're very vague, right? So they may put things like photograph a group of students or people in an occupational attire. Well, yeah, that's what you did, and that's fine. but you want to be able to elaborate a little bit more to communicate that you really are able to do this job. And the way that you do that is you have to have attention grabbing, powerful action words. You have to quantify your work whenever possible, and you have to elaborate a little bit more about what is it that you did. So if you notice on the example on the screen, you'll notice that she not only talked about being able to capture that spirit of the subject, but she's also able to elaborate on other skills that weren't mentioned, right? So she's able to elaborate the fact that she has oral and written communication, that she can work with different group of people, right? Because she quantified that she has 10 people that she was able to do that with, but that doesn't mean that that's all. So for that particular project, there was 10 people she was able to do for that particular project, and then the different mediums that she has. So that's that oral communication piece. You'll start noticing when you start looking at different job descriptions that they may be some things that they start out with. They want the candidate to be able to be adaptable, or to be able to communicate well with others, or work well with others. And that's when we tell students that's where you want to put your soft skills. So your soft skills are communication skills, problem solving skills, things like that. So how do you communicate that to the employer in a bullet point section of your resume under the work experience, that you have those skill sets and you demonstrate how you use that skill set? And this is a way that you show the employer that you have the right stuff. You got to let employers know that you're available, right? So how you do that is the book talks about doing the 5-25-100 plan. So how they break it down is you want to set aside a couple hours a day. So each day you're going to send out 5 applications. If you do that from Monday to Friday, you would have 25 applications out by the end of that week. If you do that consistently Monday to Friday, you would have 100 applications out by the end of the month. So that's one way that the handbook does talk about being able to let employers know that you are available and that you are interested in that job. Other things that students do is they set aside 2 hours a day. And for some people, they have to be very mindful and they put that timer. And once the timer goes off, they move on to the next thing. And the reason why we encourage students to do that is because job searching, if you've ever done this before, you know that it's very time consuming. It sometimes can be very daunting. It could break some people's spirits, right? Because you send out all these applications and you're submitting everything and you're like, yes, I can do this job, and you get a lot of rejections, right? So it's hard not to take it personal. Trust me, it took me 2 years to get the job that I have today. So I completely get it. And it's not lost on us when we say this is difficult, but it is doable. So if you break it down in chunks like that, it might help manage it a little bit better. And it might help that emotional piece that comes with a job search, that fatigue that comes with a job search. So if you break it down, that will help. But it also helps to continue to put your name out there and continue to send out those applications so that employers know you are available. So that's the one way that you can do that. So where do you find these jobs? Glassdoor, Indeed, ZipRecruiter, Handshake, all these job posting boards are great ways to find what's available. You can also go to the HR pages for a lot of these companies, and a lot of times they will just post them there. So just keeping that in mind. Sometimes what I like to do is I tell students, okay, if you're gonna look at Indeed, go back to that company's website or that organization's website to make sure that it's still available. Because oftentimes what you find is they may have it available on Indeed and they forget to close it out on Indeed and it's no longer available on their website. So just being mindful, you don't want to spend all that time filling out an application to later on find out the job wasn't even open at that time. So just doing a little bit more of a research that way. With Handshake, the good thing about Handshake is that you know that the employers that are posting on Handshake are looking for college students. So they know that if you're getting ready to graduate, you have entry-level skills and they understand that, and that's what they're looking for. Versus Glassdoor or Indeed or ZipRecruiter, these are more global, nationwide, so they're looking for everybody. So you're in a bigger pool than maybe Handshake would be. But they're all great sites to look for. And, I wouldn't just stick to one. I would explore all of them and see what's available out there. However, that's not the only thing you want to do. You do have to set out applications. You got to let them know that you're interested in that job. But oftentimes you'll find that there's jobs that are never posted anywhere. And this is what the hidden job market is. So I like to use the picture of an iceberg because it helps. I'm a visual person, so it kind of helps me explain it a little bit better, but also helps some students kind of also see it that way as well. So usually the traditional way was I'm just going to send out my application or send out my resume to jobs that I see, right? So that's the top of the iceberg. The top of the iceberg is those job boards. These are jobs that are seen and that are known to everybody that are out there. But unless you're very close to that iceberg, you don't know what's underneath that. You just think it's just a solid sheet of ice on top and there's nothing on the bottom. So the same thing with job search. There's over 75% of jobs that are never posted online, and only people that work within that industry know that they're available. Same thing with internships. Same thing with research opportunities. There may be things out there that aren't posted anywhere, and only the people that work there will know about it. And the only way that you're going to be able to know that they're out there is if you network. One of the greatest tools that you'll be able to use that is free of charge is LinkedIn. So if you don't have LinkedIn, I would encourage you to explore and see how to start a profile and getting the things that you need on there. Because again, there's some employers that will only use certain sites and some employers only use LinkedIn to find their talent. This is not just a way for you to find employment, but this is also a way for you to connect with people that are doing the jobs that you would love to do one day, or getting into the industries that you would love to be in one day. It helps to have this so that you're able to connect with others that are out there already doing the job, maybe learning about their paths and things like that. So once you have knowledge about all the areas that are possible out there, there's still even more things that you can do in your job search. So you have a closed group of networks. So if you're not into the social media and you're like, yeah, lady, I'm not having yet another thing that I have to keep track of. I'm not doing LinkedIn, forget about it. Okay, I respect that. Then connect with your closed group of people. So everybody has a network, whether we see it or not, or whether we feel like sometimes we're a little bit isolated, we still have people around us that know other people that might be in industries or doing jobs that we would love to do. So these are people in your church, your community organizations, your neighbors, right? There's plenty lists of people, even your professors and advisors, they may know of somebody that is doing the jobs that you would like to do and might be able to help connect in that way. Okay, so start creating a list of these people so you have it available if you need it. The next thing you want to do is you want to make a list of employers that will hire people with your skill sets. So within your field, within your major, or even if it's something that you might think is not traditionally within your major, but will hire people within your field, okay? Or within your major, I mean. A great example of the top of my mind is Cargill. So Cargill, sometimes people think, oh, I have to be a business major or I have to be an engineer. Well, not really. They do hire other majors. So it takes knowing a little bit more about the company, knowing what positions are out there, and understanding what's available to you. If you're an international student, this is a huge piece for you. You have to start with the employer first and seeing what employers will hire international students. And then look within that company to see what do they have available that I can do and that I'm interested in doing, okay? So once you have all this list, informational interviews are one of my favorite things to do. For those that are out there on the webinar today that know me, they know that initially I tend to be extremely shy. I used to be even more shy when I was in college, but there are certain situations where I feel more comfortable. Informational interviews are one of them. And the reason for that is because you can do them online. So you can do it via email, you can do it via phone, or you can do them face-to-face. Probably not currently with the whole virus and stuff, but maybe later on that's something that if you like and crave that face-to-face, that might be something that later on you can do. But for now, that virtual aspect of it, and whether it's through phone or online, those are still available. So with an informational interview, what you're doing is you're not asking these people for a job. You're taking the people from those lists. So whether it's your contacts through LinkedIn, or your personal network of contacts, or the people that you find out that are working within those employers or companies that you're trying to work for. And you're going to pick a few individuals that you would like to explore a little bit more about how they got to where they're at. What was their path? What things they can help you with to help you not just with your educational process and seeing where you can expand on those skill sets and opportunities for growth, but then also, are there, is there anything available out there that I may not know of that you would think I need to look for? If you're about to graduate and you're doing one of these informational interviews, you can say, hey, I'm getting ready to graduate. I know you work at XY company. If you know anything that would be coming available, I would love the opportunity to submit my application. And that's a different way. You put a bug in somebody's head that they know, hey, so-and-so told me a couple months ago that they were looking for that. Let me go ahead and make them aware. But if they don't know that you're interested and you don't do some of these things, that's a tap market that you are neglecting that could help you in that job search. You got to attend job fairs and an open house. And I say that with a smile because, again, I think back to my college days where if somebody would have told me that when I was in college, I would have probably started sweating and have a panic attack, because I just, and I get it if you're the same, where you're a little bit more shy and that's not your cup of tea. I would say, if you're going to attend, know the employers that are out there, right? That are going to be attending these job fairs, and maybe target one or two. So if you take it in smaller bites, that helps with anxiety. If you're prepared, that helps with anxiety, right? And then once eventually you start doing these more and more, you gain a little bit more confidence. But again, job fairs and open house are great ways to not just know what's available, but know a little bit more about the company. Employers love to talk to students. They love to tell them about the opportunities that they have available. And they love to tell their story in a way that maybe a LinkedIn page or even their own HR page can portray those stories for you. So we still have job fairs. They may be a little bit non-traditional, so they may be through virtual means, but the preparation about them still the same. So you still got to know who's out there and who you want to target so that these experiences can be more meaningful to you. And come visit us, right? This is a thing that since I've been here, it's been surprising that this is a free resource to you guys. And oftentimes we are often neglected, and we would love to help you from the moment you start to the moment you finish, even onto when you're an alumni. So we have different opportunities to help you. It's not through just the job search or letting you know, hey, here are jobs that are available. There's other things that we can help with, and we would love the opportunity to help you with that. So if that's something that you haven't explored before, I would encourage you to at least think about it, because we can't help with the job search. This is not something that you need to do alone. So what did you learn? I hope that you were able to gain different areas in which you can expand your job search that is not just looking at job boards and applying. There are other components to expand your job search and expand the opportunities to not just find that part-time, full-time employment, but also maybe research opportunities, co-op and internship opportunities that you may not have been aware of, and expanding that wide range of here's the skill sets, but maybe exploring other things that you can do within that interest that you have.